Welcome to the Armani Talks YouTube channel. I'm your host, Armani Talks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills to help you improve your way with words. In this episode, I'm going to be dropping to you 5 different communication skills games that you can play in order to become much more articulate, confident, and think much faster. With hard skills and lifting a lot of weights, one thing that can help you tremendously is force. You can force yourself to learn certain formulas. You can force yourself to push the weights. With soft skills, it's a level of play that is required. When you have play, that becomes the hidden potion to building an attractive personality. This is when you become much warmer. You don't take yourself as seriously. You are more informal. And people crave informality in this hyper-formal world. These 5 games are going to help you unlock that level of play. And some of these games are going to be single-playered, so you don't need other people. You could play it solo. While some of the other games are multiplayered. You have friends, family, coworkers that you want to start a friendly competition with, then you can. This video is going to cover it all, so if you're ready and excited for today's episode, go on and drop that like for me right on below. The first game that I want to introduce is known as the tone game. Are you currently someone that struggles with a monotone voice? Every single time that you speak, it feels like the room is dying very gradually. If so, your issue can honestly be fixed. What I want you to do is find a picture of the emotional tone scale on Google Images. And if you can't find it, I'll link it in the description box right on below. This is a chart which was created by Scientology. Now wait, before you're like, oh no, not Scientology, I don't want to touch that. I want you to approach this chart with an open mind. Because Scientology did a brilliant job in codifying human emotions. What they were capable of doing was showing you all the different emotions that a person experiences, from dark to lightest. What I want you to do with this game is to get a very simple sentence. It could be, I am Armani, obviously use your own name. And I want you to work your way up the scale, trying to imitate the tone. So from the very bottom of the scale, it writes fear or grief. So say I am Armani in a very grief-like tone, whatever that means to you. I am Armani. And in the initial stages, it's going to sound ridiculous. You're going to be like, man, I don't even know if I'm doing this right or wrong. That's the purpose of this game. Because in that simple questioning of whether or not you're doing it right or wrong, you're skyrocketing your awareness in regards to your tonality. The more you gradually keep going up, you'll start to notice how many different tones you had that you never made yourself aware of. There starts to become a more colorful tonality behind how you sound. And the beauty regarding this game is that the more that you play it, the more that subconsciously you start to execute a more beautiful tone in interactions. The worst thing that you could do is be in an interaction and intellectually keep focusing on saying, I'm going to say this sentence in a very sad tone, I'm going to say this sentence in a very light tone, and turn this into a math project. You don't want to consciously focus on it. Play the tone game, and then in interactions, everything else is going to be subconscious. That's game number 1. Game number 2 is what I call think fast. When I was a child, there was this game that I would play with my friends where I would get my palms like this. My friends would put their palm on top of mine. My goal was to hit the top of their palms. Their goal was to move their palms before I could hit them. Every now and then, I used to get that nice slap right on the top. And every now and then, right before I'm about to get that slap, they move their palms at the nick of time. Think fast is a word version of that game. This is a multiplayer game, so you're going to have yourself and a friend. You're going to say a certain word, and your friend has to say a different word, and you just keep going back and forth, back and forth. So you could say lamp, they say TV, you say camera, they say organism, and you're just going back and forth, back and forth. Eventually what's going to happen is two possible things. One person is going to run out of words, or the other mistake is that they're going to say the same words as the other person. Whenever either one of this happens, this person gets disqualified. The beauty regarding this game is that it skyrockets your situational awareness. It helps you build a bond with words. It allows you to think much faster. And one of the bonus effects is that you start to build rapport with other people. Every time that you're playing a game with someone, rapport is skyrocketing. And as you're playing this think fast game with this other individual, once you're done, you may be like, man, I can't believe you used those words. And they're going to be like, I can't believe you used those words. And just like that, familiarity has been built. That's game number 2. Game number 3 is the one-syllable game. This is when you're creating sentences with simply one-syllable words. You could give yourself a topic, but that's not necessarily needed. When you're just starting off, just see whether or not you can create sentences with one-syllable words. For example, I took my cat to the park and a boy stole it. 12 syllables, and even though it wasn't a compelling story, I was successful in just using one-syllabled words. The more that you practice, the better off that you're going to get. And the beauty regarding this exercise is that it helps you think much more clearly. If you play the one-syllable game right before an intense job interview or a podcast interview, I guarantee you that you're not going to be rambling too much. You're going to be polished. You're going to learn how to think on your feet, and you're going to deliver your words in a very smooth manner. Game number 4 is what I call the link game. You ever had that one moment when you're telling a story in front of a few people and they're looking at you like, the heck, man, what's wrong with this guy? The reason that that happens is because in the initial stages, you started off in a certain lane, and the more that you progressed in your story, the more you entered another lane. And your listeners have no clue how you went from this lane to this lane. And to make it worse, you don't have a clue. This happens because you currently don't respect sentences. You try to get too ahead of yourself. So the link game is going to help you link sentences together. What you need to do is you need to get a topic that you're going to be speaking about. Then you're going to take it one sentence at a time. After each sentence, you're going to take a slight little pause indicating that you finished the sentence. Then you're going to begin another sentence. So my main topic is Sasquatch. First sentence. I decided that I was going to leave the city for the hills. As I was walking inside the hills, I started to notice a bush that was moving a lot. I got closer and closer to the bush, and eventually there was this thing that sprung out. Is this Sasquatch? Yes, it is. Every now and then you may be like, dang, I didn't finish one sentence at a time. I didn't take the pause at the right time. And that's what keeps this game extremely engaging. You just want to keep giving yourself a topic, sentence, pause, sentence, pause. And the more that you're going to keep playing this game, the more that you're going to improve your storytelling skills, your strategic silences, your thinking on feet skills, and your storytelling skills. Try it out. And game number 5 is another multiplayer game. I like to call this lock and load. Before I tell you this game, I want to give you a little backstory on how I discovered it. There was a period in my life when I was the social chair of my fraternity, and there was this one day when my fraternity was hosting an event with the sorority. I was the coordinator. This event was extremely boring, and I'm not trying to hate, but these girls were dry. They wouldn't ask you any questions back. They wouldn't try to create any conversation. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think they were shy. But this was still making me look bad. Everyone in this event was bored. Luckily for me, a few weeks beforehand, I was in another social where they were playing this game that was extremely unique. Basically, one person would get up, they would say an interesting fact about them, and then if anyone else in the audience resonates with that, or they have a shared experience, that person would get up and lock arms with the first person, and then this person would say something interesting about them, and if someone resonates with it, they will get up and lock arms. If no one resonates with it, then this person has to say something else. The goal of this game is to get every single person locked up with one another. So I would say something like, did you know that I could solve the Rubik's Cube? No one resonates with that. Then I could say, did you know that I'm a black belt in karate? And whoever's arm shoots up the first will get up and lock arms with me. When I saw this game playing out in real time, I started to see what happens when you start to get a lot of people combined with one another with communication skills. And that's when the word version of this game came. This basically is when you pick a topic, you create a sentence, then you allow the other person to create another sentence that resonates with this topic. So for the Sasquatch example from earlier, if I say something like, I decided that I was going to go from the city to the hills to explore, then this person will now create a sentence from their lens. They'll say something like, I decided I wanted to go back to the city because the hills were too scary. The third person will be like, then I decided that I was going to be courageous and I was going to walk into the windy hills. And they just keep going and going and going. And we're trying to all bring this story to life. This is helping us practice our listening skills. It's helping us practice our concentration skills, our thinking on feet skills, our teamworking skills, our storytelling skills. So many different skills. It's a fun game. People are building rapport. You could even record this and post it on your YouTube channel just to see where this takes you guys. So these are 5 different games that you can start playing today. Some are single-playered, some are multiplayered. I'm sure some resonated with you. In this description box, I'm going to have the timestamp of each and every single video. Find out which works for you, improve your communication skills, and if you learned a thing or two in today's episode, go on and hit that like and share this video on your social media of choice. Thank you for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel, and I will catch you on the next episode.